This video shows how to use WordSeer's specialized tool for uploading XML files. It starts by having the user go to the projects page, creating a new project, giving it a name, and then specifying which XML files to upload. After the XML files are uploaded, a structure map will be created. So for this example, we're going to use a very short piece of Shakespeare text. It's already in XML format, and what we're going to do is indicate which pieces of the XML format to map to what metadata corresponds to it in WordSeer. That was the help page, but we're just going to walk through it. So first we're going to get the play title, and we're just going to call it title. And you can see that what corresponds to the metadata is shown in the preview pane on the right. Here we can see the act, and the title for the act is highlighted in the right. So we select act as a property and its title as the title for that property. So those two tags go together. We're also going to find the prologue text, and there's no speaker associated with the prologue text, so we're not going to choose the speaker tag for the prologue, but we are going to give it a title. We can see what we've selected so far there. We're not going to keep the lines from the prologue because there are no speakers. We're only going to keep lines with speakers in this metadata. Now we select the scene. And the title for the scene. And that goes in the title element tag. And lastly, the speech. The speech doesn't have a title, but it does envelop the speaker. And finally, the text. And because this text is often broken up into stanzas, we have this way to make a combined sample, so that we've chosen the combined sample in this case. So down below we show what all of the metadata is that corresponds to a line of text. There can only be one line of text for each metadata file. And you can actually see more of the text. You can scan through and see how things are going to be built and what metadata is going to correspond to what line in this preview pane. So the speech had to be included there in order to show which speaker corresponded to each speech, but it's actually being shown as blank, so nothing will be visible for the speech type. But you can see the enveloping information within the speech and within scene and so on. Now we process the document by selecting the XML file or multiple XML files and the newly created structure mapping file. We're not going to wait for the entire process to complete, as that takes too long. So here we see the words and phrases are always extracted no matter what the metadata structure is on the left, but on the right we see the metadata structure that we specified. And now if we select a word like bite, we see the metadata beneath it that's been selected by the user, the different scenes, the different acts, and the different speakers. So there's two speakers, Abraham and Samson, and it also shows up in the filters under speaker. So the Shakespeare example is pretty complicated, so we'll show a simpler example with the State of the Union text next. So in this case, we'll create a new project. We'll call it Mini-So2 for State of the Union, and we'll just pick a few of the files that are available to us. We'll just arbitrarily pick 3 of them. And upload them. And then this shows that you can actually, you don't have to upload them all at once. You can incrementally add new files. And you can remove files as well. If you have to refresh the page in order to get the X's, but we can remove Taft, say if we don't want to include Taft in the collection. And now we have to refresh the page, and then we can map the document structure. And we can arbitrarily choose any of these 3 files. They have the same structure. And this is very simple. We're just going to choose president as one of the metadata types, year as another, and we can give it a date or a number type. In this case, we'll say it's a number, and the text, each sentence, they're very long sentences, so each sentence is going to be its own line. They're not broken up into stanzas as is Shakespeare. And that's it. This shows how it'll be subdivided. The outer document, in this case, so too, is null, and that's fine. That's what we want. And then we process the documents by choosing that structure mapping file that we just created. This takes a while, so we're going to skip that time needed for that and just jump to when it's completed. And so now we're going to explore the data. And there you see the metadata, the text, and then the president metadata and the year metadata. It seems that the numbers were not recognized as numbers, unfortunately, but they are at least recognized as metadata. And we see the presidents and the years. And you can sort by these and so on. So now we want to make visible the XML that's behind these files in case anyone's curious to see it. Well, first you can go and actually look at the JSON for the structure mapping file, and you can look at the XML of the documents themselves. So you can see the SO2 files were really very straightforward, and we can only make use of what metadata is there, so if it's not very rich, there's not a lot we can put automatically into the tool. And the SO2 is very simple. The Shakespeare is much more complex. So if we look at its structure, it's very rich. And we developed this tool to deal with files like this to make it easier for a user to specify what metadata to include directly into WordSeer.